My name is Ed Colley. I do the editorial cartooning for the local newspaper, the Ipswich Local News. You're probably wondering how this all started, but let me go back a little bit. I've always had an interest in satire and humor, starting from just a small boy. I can remember in high school, for example, I was on a football team, but I never actually got to play because I was a substitute. And I got very upset about that. I can remember I'd go to the art room and I would do these illustrations of things that happened at practice. They were satirical. They were poking fun at the coaches and the players and so on. And as a nom de plume, I can remember hanging them up in the locker room. And as the football players and coaches came into the locker room, they would see these illustrations I did on the drawing board. And they loved them. They thought they were funny. And it gave me a sense of value. So that's kind of where I got started drawing satirical drawings. I've worked for many publications. I worked for the Boston Globe for a while, all Colley Memorial newspapers down in Plymouth. That's basically my history. How I met John Muldoon. John is the editor and publisher of the Ipswich Local News. I can remember getting it at my home and thinking, boy, this is really cool, this is really nice. But it's a little gray, don't you think? So I got in touch with John and I met him at, of all places, Zoomies. And over a great Zoomie cup of coffee, I presented John with my portfolio and he offered me a job of being the editorial cartoonist at the newspaper. I've been doing it now for about, I think, 3 or 4 years. I'm going to move over to my drawing table for a minute. I want to show you some influences who influenced me. Probably the biggest influence on me was Thomas Nast. Thomas Nast went after what was called the tweed ring. Boss Tweed. He was this huge individual who was the head comptroller in New York City. And they embezzled millions of dollars from the city of New York. And I'm drawing Boss Tweed right now. And this is an example of one of Nast's famous illustrations of Boss Tweed. What I do is I get the newspaper early on Tuesday evenings before we have our editorial meetings, and I'll go through the newspaper looking for ideas for an editorial cartoon. For example, this is a topic that's come up quite a bit. This is the 5 corners where it's been such a problem. Nobody can figure out how to do this. But this was my satirical, political take on it. Instead of a traffic light at 5 corners, how about we build 5 bridges? And you can see they're all fussing around one another. And I thought that was a satirical take on almost an impossible problem to solve. How to deal with traffic problem on the 5 corners. I kind of like it myself. It's kind of a game trying to get through there without getting hit. By the way, I also do a thing in the paper called High Five Sports Trivia. Before we did the sports trivia, we did a thing just called History or Trivia of Ipswich, which I illustrated and Chris Muldoon did the research for. We did them for 2 or 3 years. The whole point of it was, hopefully, is that someone would respond or give us an idea of what they thought we'd like to do in that particular spot. I would like to challenge you out there to send me your ideas of something I could do as a sports trivia illustration. Send me your ideas and I'll illustrate them, and you'll get credit for the idea. And what I was thinking of is, I pencil it in first. And my idea is to have this group wants to keep this town image-wise pretty much the way it was when it was established back when. You'll tell me the dates. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to draw this pilgrim-like character here? This new resident in the town, like me, how about this? I'll take this little guy over here. He's not very happy because, as you can see, he's in one of those pillories that pilgrims were fond of punishing people with. Now what I'm going to do is just add some color. Little guy over here in the pillory. And basically, this is how I go about developing the ideas for the cartoons that exist in the paper. I would like to end this presentation by pointing out what a really difficult time we're living in now, not in just Ipswich, but in this country, with what happened to Kimball the other night, being taken off television for his sense of humor, his tweaking the political class. That was not a good move. We're in danger of losing our democracy, people, and a free press is so terribly important. Even our little local news is important. We have to keep this country democratic. Thank you for your attention.